Imagine living in a quiet suburban neighborhood in New Jersey. Ordinary mornings, neighbors exchanging greetings, children running off to school, and perhaps a tall, broad-shouldered man stepping out of his house with a faint smile, waving at you before driving off to work. To everyone around him, he was just an ordinary neighbor, maybe even kinder than most. But behind this reassuring mask, there was a dark secret no one knew. A secret that would later make his name one of the most terrifying in criminal history. This man was Richard Kuklinski, famously known as the Iceman. Dark beginnings. Richard was born in April 1935 in Jersey City into a household filled with daily screaming and fear. His father, Stanley, was an alcoholic, quick-tempered and violent, punishing even minor missteps with brutal beatings. His mother, Anna, was deeply religious but no less harsh, using physical punishment as a teaching method, even for the smallest mistakes. Richard grew up in this environment, knowing no warmth or affection, only yelling, tears, and relentless discipline. Some investigators and psychologists later said that his childhood of violence planted the seeds of cruelty in him. Instead of breaking him, the pain became a normal part of life, and he learned to adapt to fear as if it were a natural state of being. The child who knew no mercy. From an early age, troubling behaviors began to emerge. He would torture animals without remorse, watching them suffer as though he took pleasure in their pain. He had no sense of guilt or empathy, early warning signs often seen as predictors of future criminal behavior. As he entered adolescence, Richard drifted away from school, feeling out of place among peers. He spent much of his time on the streets, learning the art of fighting and survival. His inner rage simmered, and minor assaults became a release valve for his growing anger. Gradually, the pursuit of power and control became a central part of his developing personality. First crimes. At a young age, Richard committed his first murder. It wasn't about money or revenge. It was a direct expression of his anger and hatred towards those around him. That first act gave him a sense of power and control he never felt before. And over time, that feeling became an addiction. Soon, his criminal activities expanded: robberies, assaults, and eventually deliberate killings of anyone who dared to insult or challenge him. He forgave no one and punished anyone who wounded his pride with brutal violence, quickly drawing the attention of local criminal organizations. Entering the mafia world. During the 1950s and 1960s, New Jersey and New York were teeming with mafia families, constantly in need of ruthless men willing to do anything without question. Here, Richard Kuklinski emerged, a man with a chilling mix of cold-bloodedness, skill, and daring. What impressed the mafia most was his decisiveness. When asked to eliminate someone, he did it swiftly and efficiently, then returned to his normal life as if nothing had happened. Sometimes he shot his victims, sometimes stabbed them, sometimes strangled them. His versatility made him a favorite hitman, and his skills allowed him to remain undetected for years. The man behind the mask. Strangely, Richard did not live like other criminals. He didn't frequent nightclubs or brag about his crimes. Instead, he presented himself as an ordinary family man. He married a woman named Barbara and had 3 children. To neighbors and relatives, he was a loving father, attending family trips, school events, and providing a comfortable life for his family. But behind this mask, life was very different. Though he never revealed his crimes, he could be quick-tempered, irritable, and violent at home. His wife and children lived in constant fear of his moods, knowing that a moment of anger could turn the household into a nightmare. The Iceman nickname. Over the years, the police noticed a string of seemingly unrelated murders. But some victims' times of death could not be determined. Why? Kuklinski stored some bodies in a large freezer before disposing of them, baffling investigators and earning him the nickname the Iceman. The nickname wasn't just about his method of hiding bodies. It reflected his chilling personality. He spoke of murder with a cold detachment, as if it were a routine task, devoid of emotion or remorse. Murder for pleasure. The most horrifying aspect of Richard Kuklinski's story is that he didn't kill only for money or mafia orders. Some nights, he would drive through the streets of New Jersey and New York, randomly selecting a victim from passers-by, and end their life simply because he wanted to. He later admitted feeling an inner satisfaction watching a person collapse before him, as if all social or moral constraints meant nothing. This side of him made him not only a contract killer, but also a serial killer. The combination of these two traits made him a unique and terrifying figure in the criminal world, confusing investigators who struggled to link the crimes because his methods varied from one killing to the next. Fall and arrest. Despite all precautions, Kuklinski was not invincible. The FBI and local police began suspecting a pattern connecting a series of crimes across different areas. In 1986, after covert investigations and careful surveillance, an undercover agent was planted to get close and gather evidence. On a sunny morning in 1986, while driving to his usual job, the police raided him. He offered no resistance, no shouting, just an eerie calm. The life of the Iceman ended, not by death, but by arrest, revealing to the world the true face of a man who seemed ordinary.